Trump doing in the meantime?
He doesn't have a vote in the legislature.
No, he's the president of the United States, the most powerful president with Republicans in my lifetime, Scott. He never once even told them, come back to Washington.
We just played Democrat.
You guys have been out of completely abdicated his duty to lead. And when he wasn't hosting a Great Gatsby party, he was giving $40 billion of U.S. taxpayer money to Argentina to bail out those people. Doesn't sound very America first to me.
As Democrats, if we voted because we're the party of humility.
Literally said.
And the thing about Donald Trump is he's not. The thing about Donald Trump is not an outsider anymore. He's been in government a very long period of time. And then
feed the children.
Why won't Democrats feed the children? Why don't we have Why don't we have two judges say to Democrats, you must vote to open the government because kids are hungry? Do two unelected judges have
the votes against opening the government? Democrats or Republicans?
Who was
casting the votes?
Scott, who's wanting to cut SNAP benefits?
Nobody.
And
Republicans
playing up SNAP benefits after two courts ruled that it was unallowed?
Republicans voted.
Different clause. Democrats simply don't have the cold-heartedness necessary to see people suffering and just say, let them eat cake.
Yeah, but then
they are not the types that
they voted repeatedly to do it. I mean,
yes, I do.
Oh.
Yes, I do.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought we didn't want kings. Maybe we need king for a day. I mean, that is literally a king spending money that is not appropriated.
Hello, everybody. Guys, we got a treat for you today. As usual, Trump's most loyal baby mama, Scott Jennings, is on. And we got the young and old, Sid the Sloth. Let's get into this segment and we'll talk about it.
A welcome ending or a missed opportunity. It depends on who you ask. 7 Democrats and 1 independent joined Republican senators and just voted to end the shutdown. The deal still needs, of course, to pass the House, but it will fund the government until the end of January. It will not, however, extend health care subsidies. That will be set for a date for a vote at a later time to extend those subsidies potentially in December. Some major backlash is emerging inside the Democratic Party. Those 8 senators are defending their vote now.
This was the reality. SNAP recipients suffering, nothing happening on ACA. So,
Tim the Tool Man, really? Why are you doing us like this? Oh, guys, I just realized that's not Tim Walz, the VP for Kamala. Guys, they look similar. I'm not the only one who thinks that. Let me know in the they look similar. That was a mistake, honest mistake.
From suffering and no path, we've now got robust benefits and a path.
Staying in a shutdown mode was not getting us anywhere.
If the battle plan isn't working, you change the battle plan. You try another tactic, especially if what's happening is danger to your troops.
It's like, take the win. You know, we had an election and it went well on Tuesday. You want to overplay your hand.
But there are plenty of Democrats who disagree with those sentiments. For example, J.B. Pritzker says it wasn't a deal, but an empty promise. Congressman Seth Moulton said caving now makes no sense. California Governor Gavin Newsom called it pathetic and says America deserves better. Senator Chris Murphy added submission emboldens the tyrant. And Congressman Ro Khanna says Chuck Schumer is no longer effective and needs to be replaced. And then you have Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez saying working people want leaders whose word means something. We have Congressman Jim Clyburn here at the table tonight. His new book comes out tomorrow. It's titled The First 8. I have a copy of it here with me. I will have you sign it later. We will get to the book in just a bit. Sure. But first, this argument between Democrats. And I guess the big question is, if you didn't get the one thing that you were holding out for, what was it all for?
Well, I think we saw some things that we have not talked about that did happen. We saw what has happened with SNAP. I think that came out of this. What is happening with the WIC, Women, Infant, and Children programs. So some things did happen. Now, on this particular issue, I think that's a real problem because you say you change your tactics. What are you changing to? It's a little bit like me hearing from my Republican friends, as I've been hearing for years, that we've got this plan. What kind of health care plan you have? They've never put one on the table. So if you got a new tactic, what's the new tactic? That's what causes me some pause about this plan. Now, if you promise a vote, is the vote on a bill or is the vote on the procedure? If you're promising me a vote on the bill, that means you're going to give me the 13 votes that you've got that I can get past the 60-vote filibuster. Now, if you're doing that and you will allow a direct vote, then I may have some consideration for it, because I do believe if you get to the 51, there are 2 or 3 Republicans that see the value in these tax credits.
Of the subsidies. Would you have voted along with the 7 Democrats that voted to go ahead and reopen the government and say, okay, you know what, we're not going to worry about the health care subsidies right this second. We just want to get this open?
Absolutely not from what I've seen. They may know something I don't know. It may be that they have a promise for 13 votes to get beyond the filibuster. I have not heard that. If they had that kind of a promise, that's one thing I might take a look at. But if they don't have that as a promise, absolutely not. I would not vote for this.
Scott, I'm going to let you...
Honestly, I can't understand why they did this, other than a very cynical reasons. Maybe donors, right? They were losing money on some downstream effects. I don't know. Like, we had just won these elections last week. I mean, it was the creaming of all creamings. Even Hostess was jealous to have just giving up so suddenly like that. Like, if we didn't win those elections, I could understand some of the logic here. But why did you even take up this fight? All 8 of these Dems need to get the F out. They need to be primaried into oblivion and set an example of what happens if you pull some shit like this as a Democrat. They know they appear weak at this moment. They finally effing fight back, and look what they do. All the momentum in those elections had just been completely squashed. Not really, obviously, but like, we had the momentum. We had the win, you know, on our backs. Why would you do this? Republicans got creamed, if you will.
Jump in here, but first I want to let everyone hear from the Speaker of the House, who Jake Tapper talked to about this very issue, about whether or not this was going to be a vote, guaranteed vote, before the ACA subsidies end up ending. Let me let you hear what Mike Johnson had to say.
Would you bring it up?
Well, the bill that's going to pass...
To extend the subsidies, that later vote.
I can't commit to anything that hasn't even passed through the Senate yet.
Will you have a vote on the issue as your 13 Republicans, frontline Republicans, people that you're the speaker because of them?
Yes.
They're in districts that are vulnerable.
Sure.
Will you have a vote so they can vote?
The very people that you were citing in the letter believe we have to have real reform.
So you're not committing to bringing up a bill that deals with the Obamacare subsidies before they expire?
I'm not committing to it or not committing to it.
He's not committing to it or not committing to it. And this is the very thing that Democrats were afraid of, that if they capitulated, that the subsidies would not be dealt with. How do you respond to that? There are a lot of people worried about how expensive their health care is about to get.
Yeah, first of all, Congressman, congrats on your book. Honored to be with you tonight. Second, look, one thing that came out of this entire fight is that the healthcare system in this country has been, Obamacare, has been exposed as a complete and utter failure. We all know it now. Everybody admits it. The other thing that came out is that Democrats are willing to make people suffer. And you heard Democrat after Democrat today say, well, we just couldn't prolong the suffering. So they admit that their political tactics were designed to inflict suffering on the American people. We also learned about cynical politics in this. But the overall issue of health care is going to have to be dealt with because the system has failed. Everyone, I think it's bipartisan now, admits it. But I'm not sure that having Mike Johnson commit to giving billions of dollars to insurance companies for insurance that's not getting any better, it feels like it's getting worse to the American people, is going to make a difference. I could see Democrats and Republicans coming together to discuss that, like, if we're going to spend this amount of money, should we be just giving it to insurance companies, or should we be doing something else with it that would actually have a chance of making it feel like you could get seen by a doctor and get a better health outcome? But what we're doing now, writing checks to health insurance companies is not getting us any better outcomes at all.
Look, but I think what we saw also, I think what America saw, particularly people who were directly impacted and suffering, is they saw that Donald Trump does not give a damn. While people were going hungry, while federal workers were making lines that went round blocks, he was in Mar-a-Lago golfing or hosting lavish parties with seafood towers and caviar and champagne. Not at one point did he say, we have got to convene, I'm going to lead, I'm going to put Republicans and Democrats in a room around a table, like he did with Palestinians and Israelis, and we're going to craft a deal. We're all Americans and we have to figure this out. No, I mean, he just completely abdicated his duty to lead. And when he wasn't hosting a Great Gatsby party, he was giving $40 billion of U.S. taxpayer money to Argentina to bail out those people. Doesn't sound very America first to me. And so I think that put a light on the kind of precedent that people voted for.
Scott, with all respect, you cannot put on the American people that Democrats were the one that were hurting people, making this plight.
Who was casting the votes against opening the government, Democrats or Republicans?
Who was
casting the votes?
Scott, who was wanting to cut SNAP benefits?
Nobody.
And
Republicans
playing
voted to fund SNAP 15
up
times.
SNAP benefits after 2 courts ruled that it was unallowed?
Republicans voted to fund SNAP 15 times. Democrats voted to defund it 15 times. And now we had to get 8 to join us.
You talk about the Affordable Health Care Act, okay?
It's terrible.
Landmark legislation is not perfect. We understand that Democrats, Republicans, independents, 70% of Americans, not Democrats, not just independents, 70% of Americans believe that they should increase those subsidies past the dead mark of December, the COVID era subsidy benefits. So it's a huge, huge thing that Democrats, Republicans, 70% agree with. And look, when it comes to the government shutdown, I was of the persuasion that to go for it, I didn't really get it. Democrats wanted a fight. They got a fight. Chuck Schumer, back in last year, didn't fight. He got a lot of flack for it, particularly in his home state of New York. So they wanted a fight, but they found a fight that was worth fighting with talking about the Affordable Health Care Act. People were with them. Democrats were leading in the polls. We won big on Tuesday.
That's what it was for, right? It was for the election, right?
Well, I think we should have kept going. What I don't understand, and which I would love others to help me out understand, I don't understand why we caved so soon when the American people seemed to be on our side.
Because the election ended. You just said it. It was for the election.
Listen,
the election ended. Then
I know a lot of Republicans.
I think it's for sure part of it was elections. But guys, I looked that dude up. You know who he is? That's Michael Douglas and Catherine Zeta-Jones' son. Isn't that hilarious? But anyways, look at that shit. Already, Speaker Johnson is saying he won't commit to bringing up the bill. Already. Amazing. Democrats, I don't know why they didn't think this would happen. They had to have known. This is the whole fight. They knew that the Republicans would back out. Like, we talked about this here. These Republicans just cannot be trusted. They cannot be effing trusted. They are in a brainless cult where cruelty is their weapon. They listen to everything their daddy Trump tells them. These people are in a cult. They're not all there. Did Dems really think, oh, maybe they will feel bad for us this time. Maybe this time they will care about people struggling and giving them some relief. Like, Dems are just effing weak. And obviously not all of them. But generally, this is why the party is viewed this way. And I agree with this view. They are effing weak. But I think that's coming to an end. I think we're entering a bit of a revolution with the left and these centrist or moderate Dems. Like, guys, and I like to think of myself as someone in the middle of these moderates on the Democrat side and these progressives on the, all on the far left side. I'm in the middle somewhere in between it. But guys, this shit pissed me off with these centrists and moderate Dems. They seem to always find a way to put their foot in their effing mouth. They always find a way to screw something up. And I can't help but think it was something to do with donors. It just has to be. Why else would you do this? Why?
I know a lot of Democrats. They're cut from different cloths. Democrats simply don't have the cold-heartedness necessary to see people suffering and just say, let them eat cake.
Yeah, but then
they are not the types that
They
they're
voted
not
repeatedly to do it. I mean, you just heard Democrats
And what
on
was
our
Donald
air.
Trump doing in the meantime?
He doesn't have a vote in the legislature.
No,
A.
he's the
You
president
just-
of the United States,
you just-
the most
Anna,
powerful president
Anna,
with
we
Republicans
just
in my
played-
lifetime,
we just
Scott.
played-
He never once even told them, come back to Washington.
We just played
You guys
Democrat.
have been out of Washington for a month and a half.
Correct.
A month and a half.
Anna,
I'm
we
gonna
just
let
played
Brianna
Democrat after
get a
Democrat
word in.
admit that the Democratic plan to prolong the shutdown was causing, quote, suffering. That was their words, not mine. Democrats themselves realized the tactic of suffering was no longer something they could personally stomach. That was their party, not Republicans.
Only 7 Democrats voted for this.
8.
Not Democrat after Democrat. No.
He caucuses with the
There were
Democrats.
7,
He
and
made
then there
caucus
were
with them.
Don't split
He's
hairs.
an
He
independent.
caucuses with the
And you're
Democrats.
absolutely
I
right. You're right.
know exactly.
Democrats did fold because Trump was wagering the American people's health, safety, and food security
Dylan-
on politic games.
We
And
can't-
the
we can't
Democrats,
vote
one
together.
silver
All right,
lining I see that
I
we can
wanna
be
jump in
proud
here
of
too now.
as Democrats
I'm gonna let you
is we
jump in.
folded because we're the party of humility and humanity.
And I'm going to let you jump in right after the break.
This segment continues. I'm going to combine it here, but I actually somewhat disagree with Anna Navarro. I think the voters, yes, we are empathetic. We do not want to see people suffer, right? But when it comes to those politicians who voted against it, how convenient that none of them are up for re-election in the midterms. Some of them not till 2030. How convenient. All the ones that agreed to cave in. You're going to tell me that was just, it was all convenience? It was an accident? If you don't think that there was more Democrats that wanted to cave in, you got another thing coming. This is un-effing believable, truly. But I'm going to combine the second part of this segment. It's a long segment.
We're going to start with you, Brianna, because you didn't get a chance to jump in. And I guess one of the big questions is because Republicans have, as Scott Jennings right here at the table, have complained about Obamacare ad nauseum. There are problems with it. What is the plan that Republicans have? What is the robust health care plan that Republicans are proposing?
Well, if I was a Republican in office, I would probably propose repealing Obamacare, given how expensive it's gotten for the American people. But this is a conversation that could have been happening over the past few weeks had Democrats voted on the clean CR in September to kind of hash out these details. I want to go back to something Dylan and Anna said. Dylan, you mentioned that Democrats are the party of humanity. Look, they were so humane that they were willing to let federal employees go without a paycheck and Americans go without SNAP benefits. That being said, as horrible as the shutdown has been for the average American who is a federal employee or who relies on government programs, I don't think it was politically toxic to Democrats. And that's probably because Democrats know exactly what they're doing. To Scott's point, this was an election benefit. Back in March, NBC came out with a poll. It found that Democratic base were really upset with the leadership. They said, you're not doing enough to fight back against Donald Trump. Dylan, I think you alluded to this. And one of the things that a poll found is that a lot of the Democratic base would be happy if the government was to shut down because it meant Democrats were fighting Donald Trump and the GOP. So Democrats played their cards right in September. They said an election's happening in a month and a half. We're going to keep the government shut down. They shellacked Republicans last week. It worked in their benefit. And I don't think there is a political downside to what Democrats have done. And now they've just wasted weeks where Americans are now finally, hopefully, going to get all the back pay they've been waiting on.
What about the health care?
Guys, Chuck Schumer tried coming out and saying he fought against this and whatever. He orchestrated it. There's, without a doubt, actually, it was already reported that Schumer knew and supported the idea to cave in by those Democrats. Like, I'm happy, right? I'm split because I'm happy that these federal employees who weren't getting paid and people who rely on SNAP benefits, as someone who grew up on welfare in Section 8, I couldn't imagine it. Honestly, I couldn't imagine it. But millions on millions will lose their health care now. This, again, without a doubt, will result in a death. Right? You won't be able to find out you could have prevented something that may cause your death without a doubt. Right? Just statistics, math, numbers. Some people are not going to get the diagnosis that they could have gotten to prevent their own death. Just think about that. But like this backlash, this is the ray of hope here. This backlash that Democrats are receiving are somewhat encouraging. This will set a new precedent amongst Democrats. This will somewhat make the ACA and affordability issue even more of an issue, even a bigger piece of the agenda. item, which is good because people won't forget about this. Yeah, you guys are not up for re-election, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to demand even more now from the party. Like, uneffing believable that they did this. I do not know how Chuck Schumer goes on. He's gone. He's done. I just don't see it. I don't see how he stays. Even centrist Democrats are against him. Like Newsom. You heard what he said there earlier.
I'm going to ask you, because you're in touch with your Republican friends. What is the plan that Republicans are putting forward? Because you do hear over and over and over again that Obamacare is terrible. You hear it every single time from Republicans. This is a mess. Why do subsidies need to exist? But I have yet to hear a robust plan from Republicans.
Well, generally, they want more free market choices. They want people to feel like that their insurance actually is usable. Right now, premiums are really high. Deductibles are really high. I mean, I don't know about you all, but I know tons of people who have insurance that would tell you, it doesn't even feel like I have insurance at all. I pay. Look, I have a small business back in Kentucky. Every year I get a letter from the people that we get our insurance from. Your premiums that you pay for your employees are going up, 10, 15, 20%. I can tell you this, the insurance benefits never get better. And the employees that I have would tell you, it doesn't ever feel like they're, any better off because of it. We pay more, but the health outcomes and the insurance benefits that they get aren't any better. In fact, sometimes they're worse. And so it just feels broken, and it feels like you don't really have any choices. To me,
but you don't have choices because Republicans have not shown a robust plan. I hear the diagnosis of the problems, but where is the legislation, the full legislation that you can say, hey, we're going to replace this. This is our plan. Obamacare is over here. We don't want this.
I'm not sure Republicans are going to be for a government-run or government-mandated system. What they're going to be for is free market choices, giving people more choices that would probably drive down costs and put them in more direct touch with their own health care. Right now, they're in touch with insurance companies, which don't do anything.
But you know what, Scott, there's a lot of things in Obamacare, there's a lot of things in the ACA that Americans like, whether they are Republicans or Democrats or anything in between. The idea that you can't get kicked out of health care because of a pre-existing condition, the idea that there's no caps, all of these things are things that we've all benefited from, particularly the neediest amongst us. Look, I think this issue is not going to go away. And we're going to be talking about this because we're going to hear horrible stories. People are not going to be able to afford their insurance. I don't think even with subsidies, they're going to be able to afford the premiums that are hiking up 100, 200, 300%.
Wasn't Obamacare supposed to fix that?
When people, no, well, not without the universal. I mean, there's
Affordable Care Act.
Yeah,
Affordable was the first word.
The Republicans have been chipping away at the ACA, and I think this is going to be the death of the ACA, but it's also going to be the death of some Americans who don't go get screenings, who don't get diagnosed early enough in order to get treatment, who go in and instead of being stage 1 cancer are going to be stage 4 cancer. And we're going to hear horrible stories because Americans are going to choose to drop health insurance that they cannot afford. And we as a country have got to figure this issue out.
You asked Scott about just...
I mean, this is what I mean about the cruelty Republicans display. You think the young and old, Sid the Sloth, there cares about SNAP benefits or anything like that? I bet she never met. Same with Scott Jennings. Never met anyone on SNAP benefits or even cared if they did. She and the Republicans were completely fine with starving people. Now, since Democrats caved in on that part of the whole dynamics here, now they're just gonna die. Like Anna Navarro just elaborated there. That's exactly what's going to happen, guys. Like, those funds for SNAP were already appropriated by Congress. It was a choice by Trump and the Republicans to use it as leverage. And you heard the most loyal baby mama here, Scott, said the health care plan for Republicans is free enterprise. Diablo. Just amazing. Let the corporations take over. That's a really smart idea. Let's have guys, you want a health plan by Jeff Bezos? That sounds good. Actually, or even better, let's get on that Elon Musk health plan. Like, they're answers to everything. Let the corporations take it over. Let free enterprise. Capitalism, nothing ever went wrong there, right? Look at us. Look what we're doing now. We're doing so great, right? Isn't everyone living in abundance? Isn't everyone enjoying this magnanimous wealth? Effing amazing, guys. Like if we let a capitalist take over healthcare, that they won't exploit it like everything else they do. Are you out of your effing mind?
Just real quick, you asked him about what the Republican plan is, and he couldn't answer. There's no plan.
I literally said
and the
free
thing
market,
about Donald
more
Trump
choices,
is he's
lower
not.
costs.
He's just.
That's a
The thing
concept.
about Donald
In touch
Trump
with
is he's not an
doctors, not
outsider
insurance
anymore.
companies.
He's
There's
been in
still a
government a very
savings
long period
accounts.
of time. And then to your point about the SNAP's benefit, about Democrats being the party of humility, a government shutdown is an ugly business. Two wrongs don't make a right. Donald Trump was the one that refused that the rainy day fund that SNAP had.
No, Democrats
be let
refused to
out.
open the government.
No, they refused.
They
There was
refused to
there was a
open the
rainy day
government.
fund in place for that very reason of a possible government shutdown. Two courts ruled against it. He has to do it. He still may not comply. Who knows? So don't say that's a Republican talking
Democrats
point.
voted
But back
to
to the
keep the
healthcare.
government shut down.
Obamacare, there's issues with it, but if you break it, you bought it. We can fix it within the system, or we can do something else. Your point about making it privatized, there's a lot of private healthcare insurance out there. None of it is affordable.
But
And if you think of getting rid of an affordable
you've been
option,
in
would make
Congress
it
and
more
you have
so.
seen vote after vote after vote to repeal Obamacare. And the question is to
75.
replace it with what?
Nothing, a concept.
Correct.
We're still here in the time. When two courts said to Trump, feed these children, he has appealed that.
Why can't those
Why
two
won't he
judges?
feed the children?
Why won't Democrats feed the children? Why don't we have? Hold on. Why don't we have two
but-
judges say to Democrats, "You must vote to open the government because kids are hungry"?
Wait, but here's the thing.
Do two unelected judges have that authority?
Just
I don't
answer
think
the
so.
question. You can answer the question with your question all you want to, but the fact of the matter is,
An unelected judge probably does not have the authority to tell the executive
Well, there
branch
are
what to
three
do.
different branches
Well,
of
they
government.
This
did.
is my question.
They can and then they
Those are
did.
supposed to be
And
called.
snaps
The Supreme
work
Court.
without.
Do you believe as a member of Congress, a judge can compel the executive to spend money that you haven't appropriated?
yes, I do.
Oh.
Yes, I do.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought we didn't want kings.
Nobody
Maybe we
wants
need
king.
king for a day. What do we need? I mean,
Okay, but wait.
that is
Judge-
literally a king spending money that is not
The
appropriated.
judge is not a king. The
No, you're
judge-
turning the president into one if he
No,
can
no.
spend without appropriation.
Well, now, if you got a rainy day fund, it was appropriated at
Correct.
one time. The fund didn't come out of the air. The money is sitting there. Now, they didn't appropriate it yesterday or the day before, but the money was appropriated last year sometime, and the rainy day fund was there for this purpose.
Who
And rather than
appropriated the,
voting-
who appropriated,
has
who
nothing to say.
appropriated the $40 billion for Argentina?
My view is, as a look, you guys have been railing against Trump being authoritarian, having too much power, too much executive power, and at the same time, Democrats have been arguing that he should go out and spend money that has not been appropriated
The
this
money was
year
Has been
appropriated.
by
appropriated.
Congress.
It was.
$90 billion
Where did the money
that's
come
in a
from?
rainy day fund.
Where did the rainy day fund come from?
Was it specifically for this purpose?
Yes, correct. It
I
was
don't know.
three. It was three. I know for a fact it was $3 billion that's appropriated through snaps, specifically for either disaster relief situations or government shutdown. Trump said he didn't want to spend the money. People are going hungry because of it.
Because
We should
Democrats
be-
voted to keep the
but
government
we should
closed.
be clear that the shutdown that happened before this was the second longest. It was during the Trump administration, and guess what?
This-
SNAP was funded.
Correct.
So this one is different. We will have to put a pin in this because
And you see how the young and the old, when she talks about this, she's laughing and smiling. It's just like it's really a game for Republicans. They do not care. They do not care when you tell them people are starving. Well, like she pretends to not understand that when you're in government, you have to work with the other side. If you do not have majority vote, you need 60 votes. And this is the thing, is that as much as people got pissed off at Biden, that's just how government works, or else literally nothing gets done and the government just shut down forever. You have to learn to work with the other side, give and take. Republicans gave absolutely nothing, and the Democrats caved in. Like, there's no more playing chess with Republicans when they just, I said this before, when they just want to effing box. Put your damn gloves on and box. Like, this is, everyone's been taught this. My mom used to tell me, never let anyone hit you without you hitting them back. I don't care how big they are, no matter if you're going to lose. Like, it makes sense, because once you give into that bully, they will be there every effing day bullying you, and they will invite others to take advantage of your dumbass. But if you punch the bully in the nose, figuratively speaking, obviously, in this context, in politics, they will think twice about picking on you, because obviously they know that you're a dog that bites. What a surprise. Democrats, effing learn to bite. Learn to throw a punch. Like, unbelievable. I feel like I'm talking to my non-existent children? Like, we as the voters want to see you fight, not give in at the last moment when we had the victory in our hands. Like, those elections wins were in large part because of you fighting back. Like, what do you think this does to voter morale and motivation to vote for you? Effing pricks. But I'm going to leave it there, guys. I know this was a super long segment, but whatever, it was a long segment. But I thought it was important to go through all whatever the details. But let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Please leave a like, subscribe. Really helps the channel. Really helps push the message out there. And I'll catch you in the next one.